This is 3.7 for Algebra 1, notes on the point-slope form of equations. So we're going to start off with right here in the little call-out box on the left. And I want you to remember from our previous lesson that slope-intercept form of an equation is y equals mx plus b. So if we know the slope and we know the y-intercept, then we can do this kind of an equation, slope-intercept form. But sometimes we don't know the y-intercept. We only have some other point. All we know is the slope and some other point. So if you have some other point and the slope, you can use the point-slope form of an equation to find the equation of a line. And here's how point-slope works. We do y minus y1 is equal to the slope times x minus x1. Now what the heck does that mean? Basically, anytime you have a point, remember points are always x, comma, y. So we're going to use our point and call our point x1 and y1. This y, the first one, and the first x always stay just like that. They always say y, and this one always says x. And then we plug in the points that we have from our x1, y1 into the equation. Now this will make sense a little bit more once we do an example. So let's look here. It says write an equation that represents a line having a slope of 2 and a point of 7, 2. Write it in point-slope form. Now notice that the point 7, 2 is not the y-intercept, because the y-intercept would have x as 0, so we know it's not the y-intercept. But we do have a point and we have the slope, and if you have a point and a slope, you can use point-slope form. So the 7, 2, remember, is going to be the x1 and the y1. So we're going to use this format of our equation. So we're always going to put the first y in. Y minus, and what is y1 is 2. Here's y, is equal to the slope, and the slope is 2 as well, times x minus, and which one is x1, is 7. So y minus 2 is equal to 2 times x minus 7. There's your equation in point-slope form. Now, it says use the point-slope equation form from number 1 and solve for y. So we want to get this so it says y equals. So we're going to start, we have y minus 2 is equal to 2 times x minus 7. Let's go ahead and distribute before we do anything else. Y minus 2 is equal to 2 times x is 2x. 2 times negative 7 is minus 14. And now we want to finally just add 2 on both sides so that y will be by itself. So we get y equals 2x minus 12. And there you are in point-slope form. Now it says, what is the relationship between point-slope form and of an equation and slope-intercept form? Well, they both are the equation for the same line. It's just if you solve for y, it will be in slope-intercept form. If you take a point-slope equation and solve it for y, it'll change to slope-intercept form. You see how we did that? We took point-slope form, we solved it for y, and we ended up in slope-intercept form. There's a slope of 2, and we now know that the y-intercept is negative 12. Okay, let's keep moving on and do some more examples. You'll be catching on, I'm sure, because you all are really smart. It says, write an equation in point-slope form having a slope of negative 4 and passes through the point 1, 5. Okay, so we're going to rewrite our equation. We're going to keep doing this over and over again so it gets in your head. Y minus y1 is equal to the slope times x minus x1. So let's look at our point. This is x1 and this is y1. So we're going to say y minus, and what is the y, is 5, is equal to the slope. What did it tell us the slope was? Negative 4 times x minus, and what are we subtracting? 1. Now it says you solve your equation for y so that it is in slope-intercept form. So we're going to go ahead and distribute the 4. So we have y minus 5 is equal to negative 4x, and negative 4 times negative 1 is positive 4. And now we're going to add 5 to both sides, and we get y equals negative 4x plus 9. So what's the slope of this equation? Well, we already know that, told us in the question, was negative 4. What's the y-intercept? The y-intercept is 9. We can see that when we're in slope-intercept form. Okay, let's turn the page. Well, actually, you're not going to turn the page. We're just going to go down and do the last problem on the bottom. Okay, so these are the problems that are at the bottom of the page. It says write an equation in point-slope form that has a slope of 2 and passes through the point negative 4, comma 1. Okay, so once again, let's write our equation. It goes y minus y1 is equal to the slope times x minus x1. Now I want you to pay attention on this one because it's a little bit tricky. So we have negative 4 comma 1, and remember those points are x1, y1. So on our point slope we always start with y minus. So y minus y1 is y minus 1 is equal to the slope, and we have a slope of 2 times x minus, x minus negative 4. Okay, I don't want you to forget that it's x minus negative 4. When it's minus a negative, that really means plus. So on this one, because the point started out as negative, it ends up being a plus right there. I mean, actually, if you look at the questions above that we already did, notice that every time we subtract from y, whatever this point is becomes the opposite sign. So this one was positive 1, and now it's y minus 1, and this one was negative 4, and now it's positive 4. It's the way it works out every time. Okay, so we have our equation in point-slope form. Y minus 1 is equal to 2 times x plus 4. Now it says solve it for y so that we can get into slope-intercept form. Now to solve for y, we're going to have to distribute the 2 to both terms. So we get y minus 1 is equal to 2x plus 8. And then we're going to add 1, and we get y equals 2x plus 9. And there we are. That's in slope-intercept form. So the slope of this line is, right here, 2. What's the y-intercept? It's 9. Okay, it says write an equation, number 5. Again, a little tricky on this one. Write an equation in slope-intercept form of a line having an undefined slope and that passes through the point 5 comma negative 3. Okay, well this one's a little bit different because it tells you the slope is undefined, and that makes it special. Remember, our two kinds of lines that are special are zero slope and undefined slope. And I gave you a little word to help you remember undefined, the one with the U in it, and that is VUX, undefined. VUX are vertical lines. They have undefined slope, and the equation of the line is always x equals something. So I want you to look at this point. We have 5 comma negative 3. Which one's x and which one's y? This one's x. It's always x comma y. So in this equation, x has to equal 5. And that's how we're going to write the equation. Just x equals 5. It's special. It's not going to look like y equals mx plus b or this point slope form. Because it's undefined, it's special, and so we write the equation just like this, x equals 5. And to draw the line, to draw the equation over here, the graph, we're just going to go over to 5, and we're going to draw a straight up and down line right on the 5. And there's our undefined slope, a vertical line going through point number 5, and the equation looks like this, x equals 5. Then that's the word vux helps us remember that. Vertical, undefined, x equals 5. Okay, let's go to the back. Okay, it says write an equation in slope-intercept form of a line having a slope of 0, special line, and passes through the point -3, 4. Okay, so this is another special line, and so the rules don't exactly apply. Remember I gave you the word hoi? Hoi is a horizontal line, horizontal. It has 0 slope, and the equation of that line is always y equals something. So let's see what we can figure out on this. We have a point -3, 4. This one's x, this one's y. And since this is a 0 slope line, the equation is always y equals, so here's the y, and so the equation of this line is going to be y equals 4. And that's all it is. It's not going to be like the other ones, y equals mx plus b, or y minus y1, etc. It's just like this. Zero slope lines and undefined lines are special. So 0 slope lines are always y equals, and undefined lines are always x equals. And all you have to do is look at the point and pick out the x for vertical or the y for horizontal for 0 slope. Okay? So, I hope you understand that. Let's move on. Write an equation in slope-intercept form that represents a line with a slope of 2 and an x-intercept of 5. Okay, well, they're just trying to throw you off on this question. We have the slope, and remember, to do an equation, we want to, if we want it in slope-intercept form, we need to have the slope and the y-intercept. But they gave us the x-intercept. So I have the slope and I have a point. So we're going to use point-slope form on this one. What you have to remember is that the x-intercept is always the number, and then y is always 0. So if this x-intercept is 5, we know it has a point 5, 0. So I have a point right here, 5, 0, and I have a slope of 2. So we can use point-slope form, which is y minus y1 is equal to the slope times x minus x1. So let's fill in what we know. Y minus, what does y equal in this one? 0 is equal to the slope 2 times x minus 5. So let's go ahead and solve it out. Y minus 0 is equal to 2x minus 10. And then if we are to add 0 on both sides, that's not going to change anything. These are gone. Minus 10 plus 0 is still minus 10, so we have y equals 2x minus 10. And there's your equation. Okay, let's try number 8. A repairman charges $25 per hour for his initial service call. So that's what you got to pay no matter what. So, and then the bill for 3 hours was $105. In the problem, what is the slope? Well, we don't know that yet. We're going to have to figure that out. Oh, no, yes, we do know it. 25 per hour. There's your slope. 25. Remember when you see that word per? We can get the slope. What information would be a point of the equation for this situation? Well, we know for 3 hours it's $105. So we can say 3 is 105. So we have the slope and we have a point. So we can use point-slope form to figure out the equation of this line. Remember, point-slope form is y minus y1 is equal to the slope times x minus x1. So let's remember, this is x, this is y. So we're going to do y minus 105 is equal to the slope, which is 25, times x minus 3. Okay? So we're going to say y minus 105 is equal to 25x minus 75. And let's go ahead and add 105 to both sides. And we get y equals 25x plus what? So here's the equation in slope-intercept form. We started with point-slope form and we changed it to slope-intercept form, so we can see the slope, and $30 is the starting amount, which is the y-intercept. So the initial service call is $30. So what's the charge for 7 hours? We're going to do y equals 25 times 7 plus 30. And so that's going to be $205. So just to recap on that question, they gave us a point that was not the y-intercept. It was 3 hours and $105. So that made this point. So use the point and your slope and put it in point-slope form, and then solve it all out until you get slope-intercept form right here. So we can see what the y-intercept is 30. Then you can use that equation to figure out for any number of hours. In this case it was 7. And I did it kind of the long way. You could also put this into y equals in your calculator and then go to the table and just scroll down until you see 7 in the x column, and you'll see 205 in the y column. Okay, let's do number 9 and 10. We're almost through. Okay, it says a line has a slope of 1/2 and goes through the point -6, -4. Write the equation in point-slope form. Okay, so I know I've written this a million times already, but let's keep doing it. We want to get it in your head. Y minus y1 is equal to the slope times x minus x1. So we're going to say, remember this is x and this is y. Y minus, we always start like that. And then we look at our y, is y minus -4. So minus a negative means plus. So it's y plus 4 is equal to 1/2. There's your slope. And then we always put this x minus, well, it's x minus -6. So minus a negative would be x plus 6. Okay, now it says solve for y and get into slope-intercept form. So we have y plus 4. 1/2 times x is 1/2 x. And 1/2 times 6, you can put that in your calculator, but multiplying by half is the same as dividing by 2. It's going to be plus 3. And now we're going to subtract 4 from both sides. And we get y equals 1/2 x minus 1. And there you are in slope-intercept form. So what's the slope? The slope is 1/2. What's the y-intercept? The y-intercept is -1. Okay, last one. Write an equation in point-slope form and slope-intercept form with a slope of 4 and goes through the point 0, -2. Okay, well, this is x and this is y. Now I want you to notice something. This is a little bit of a trick. When you see that x is 0, that should remind you of something. That means that this is the y-intercept. Because when x is 0, you got the y-intercept. So I could just go ahead and write slope-intercept form. Remember, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. And we know the slope, m, and we know the y-intercept. So we can say y equals 4x minus 2. There's my slope, there's my y-intercept. So that part's already done. And then point-slope form is going to be y plus 2 is equal, because it's y minus -2, is y plus 2 times the slope, 1/2 times x minus 0. And there it would be in point-slope form. Now, do you believe me that those are the same? Why don't we solve this out and see? We get y plus 2. 1/2 times x is 1/2 x. 1/2 times 0 is 0, so I don't even have to put it down. We don't need the 0 over there. We're going to subtract 2 from both sides, so we get y equals 1/2 x. I'm such a pinhead. I can't believe I just used the 1/2 when the slope was 4. I was looking at the question above it. I'm such a pinhead. Oh my gosh, just shoot me in the head. Okay, you guys are just thinking, oh, Mrs. Bailey, she's totally crazy. That should be a 4 right there. So 4 times x is 4x, and 4 times 0 is 0. Subtract 2, and so we get y equals 4x minus 2. Oh my gosh, what a way to confuse you right at the end of the lesson. I'm sorry. The slope is 4, just like it says right there. Okay, so here's your answer, and they come out the same. Okay, that's your lesson, and I'll see you in class.